Okay, so last night I posted a little video of this swatter that I'm making. And well, let me start by showing you what it's doing currently. And you can see it is getting some swats in. And this one, the third one's still mostly on the backhand. I don't think it's still perfect the way exactly I want it yet, but anyway, so let's talk about this and some tricks and so on. First of all, I put in IK, which is basically the reverse of FK, which is where you forward. So you're going backwards from the where you want to, the item that you want to move to the base of the chain. That was one thing. And let me touch on that. So we got these two bones. And what you want to do is, let's see, you click on this joint and you say create IK chain. That'll put the tag on it. And then you can, you click on that. See, this just sort of picked it. But you can see this is the end. Now you can change that. So let's say, let me move this down. Oh, how do I move? Oh, actually, I can use my, so what I could do is go to the joint tool and click on this joint, which is joint 2, and then control click, let's say, up here. Now I want to control up here. I could, I can take joint 3 and make that the, so now if I want, now I have this goal here, and we could get rid of that, but what we can also do is, you can see how it moves. So this can move and move this wherever you'd like. And that's the beauty of IK. And I think, so I added that since we did the review of it, the initial video on this last week. The some of the issues, you have to get the timing right with the items that are being thrown at it. And also collision versus collider tags. Actually the same thing, just weighted differently. But what I did find is if I changed the paddle, well, I set a, let's see, a collider tag on the root, not the root, the, where did I set my collider tag? Right here on the base. You can see that. And that theoretically should carry, that should carry forth. If you click on it, this is being hidden now. Let's unhide this. And click on this base. I want to see if I can see it. Oh, it's locked. So let's just unlock that so I can show you. It should be set as a, I'm not sure, by default, it should go through to the children. Trying to see if I see it. Yeah, right here, inherit tag. So let's get this locked again, because I don't want to take a chance of messing it up. Oh, this is, yeah, that's that. So you can see that that will allow the balls to actually collide. And I found if I made this a, I made the paddle at one point a, let's see, a rigid body, which is essentially a collider body with different settings. I made it and it went flying off. But at any rate, this whole thing, I don't even need this, is your, so that you get the collision. The spheres themselves are set to be rigid bodies. So that's important. Let's see. Here's a little tip. Looking at my notes here. I notice I have an Octane camera, and if you know C4D cameras, you can take it off and you can move wherever. But if this is on, typically if you move it, you're going to impact your camera. There's this tag here, which is called the protection tag. This is actually a rigging tag. And what it does is it locks the camera in position so you don't accidentally move this. This is a trick I learned when I took my intro to Cinema 4D for School of Motion. And to mention something coming up, I will be taking the advanced portion of that course in about a month's time, and we'll be reporting on it. They have some excellent classes. Most of their classes are more 2D, but they have 3 Cinema 4D focused classes. Base Camp, which is for beginners, Ascend, which is one I'm taking, and then they have one on making, I forget the name of it, but it's basically, what was it, lights, camera, render. It's making your renders look really nice. So I'm thinking about taking that one as well, to kind of round everything out. But it's not cheap, but I was very happy with Base Camp. So anyway, and I have no monetary attachments to the school except for the fact that I pay them money to take their classes. Anyway, getting back to this. So putting this little tag here, that prevents you from accidentally hosing up the camera. And in fact, with this on, my Space Mouse won't do anything. I can move it, it's locked. But if I take this tag off and I'm in the default camera, then I can do whatever I want. The other trick, of course, is to create your camera initially when you have what you think is lined up well. And that works pretty well in Houdini, too. Then the other thing I want to talk about here, we got our Octane Sky. This allows you, because I'm using Octane here, and by the way, they just came out with the version that works with 2023 Cinema. So it took them a day or two, I believe, but they got it out. And so if you like Octane, the Octane Sky. Now I'm using this tool from Greyscale Gorilla called HDRI Link Plus. And what it does, it allows me to pick HDRIs. If I go to this tag here, I can open up a library, and I'll show you that. And you can pick from a number of HDRIs. And obviously you can insert an HDRI in Octane Sky. I believe it's this tag here, which is the environment tag, and you stick it under the texture. Actually, what you do is you pull the tag, this tag on the text, but I guess what you would do is actually set the texture. If you're using just a standard HTML, you're not using the tag, you would just set it to the file that you're using. And you have two choices. You can either use as the back plate, and I thought the back plate was kind of nice, so I decided to keep it, or you can just use it as lighting, which is very common. And let me just show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to bring up the Octane render, and you should see. And you can see it's got these kind of cool light things going on here. So I decided to keep it. You can choose one that suits you. Let's see what other important things. I'm just checking my notes. The controller. Okay. The last two things I want to talk about is making a controller and what I'll call neatness. So if you don't want to touch the bones directly, you can create controllers. And the way you do that is, first, let me show it to you. It is called paddle controller, and you can see it right here. Now, you can see this here, it's orange, so it's kind of hard to see. But I created a spline which had a null, and I moved it with nulls kind of at center, and I moved it over here. You can click the enable access mode to change that so they're closer together. It doesn't matter that much. And then you have to make it a child of the paddle joint, which is what I was making it a child, what I wanted to control. Okay, and what that lets you do, let me see if I can do this on this demo here. Okay, so let's say I want a controller for this joint right here. So that would be joint 2. So what I would do is I would use this, and this is how he did it. Basically, this is spline pen, and I make a little spline here. Doesn't matter what shape it really is in, as long as you got your little spline. Okay, very simple. And what I do is, first of all, I'm going to select it and see where let's close this and this, and see if I can find this one. Make sure it's in the right mode. No, it's in point. Well, it would be in points mode initially. Then maybe you want to put in object mode so you can actually see. Notice it always puts the base here, and of course we want it here. So what you can do is just go into enable access, because I want my access near where it's supposed to control. Right there. And it doesn't really matter where this is. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so we got this here. And it's under here. I'm going to zero this out. So it's, whoop. And you got to zero it all out. Okay, now what you could do is go into point mode here, and hold on. I don't see my, if I go into point mode, well, that's interesting. No, it's selected. Not sure what's going on there. Everything's zeroed out. And what you're going to do here is move this out of here. And you're going to put the constraint on here. So this is a rigging tag, a constraint tag. And you're going to set it as a transform because it's movement. And you should be able to move this controller right on in here. And then, theoretically, if you click on this controller and you go into object mode, you should be able to come in, control the joint. As you can see, now you can control it. I don't see the points. Go to F1 and see if I can see them. See if we can see them. There they are. They're hiding. And as you can see, you can now control the rotation. That's right, because we turned off. So that's basically how you do a controller. You want to zero it out to the joint. You want to put the tag on the joint and then you want to make this a child of the joint, zero everything out, get it out of there, then put the constraint tag on, a transform tag that is only for the rotation. See, rotation. And then you drag the joint controller in, and you got your controller, which you can see if I go to these. I can click on here, and you can see. So that is what I did for the for this here. I'm trying to think if there were any other little tricks and things I learned doing this. So when you do this, talk about organization. So if you go to layers, you set up layers, one for the geo, which I set lock, one for the joints and bones so you can hide them, and one for the controller, which is what the I did not drag this into controllers yet, So you got these three things that are light, the teal, that you can control. You control with the IP goal, and that's location. The base pole, which also controls, let's take this off for a second so I can show you here, and that controls this. I'm going to put it back so I don't mess up anything. And then you have the paddle controller, which you can barely see, these points down here, which will let you control the paddle. And then you don't even have to look at the bones, you don't have to find the bones, you just have the three things. So it makes it easier to animate. So that is the essence of what there is to learn from this, the main points of this little simulation. Again, I did use emitters, and in order to get the spheres, I made them child to the emitter, and then you can control the speed, all the way that it's going to be emitted. And so that's pretty much it. So hopefully you learned something from my experience that I'm conveying here about setting up the IK, the controllers, how to you don't want to do that kind of stuff. You want to do that stuff in front mode generally. And if you remember, the controller controls rotation. Remember, when you're moving the joints, you're doing rotation. When you're moving the bones, you're rotating the bones. You don't move, when you move your arm, right, you don't move your arm bone, you rotate the joint, the elbow joint. So it's the same thing here. So again, thank you for watching, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.